Hello and welcome. My name's Rendell, healer and psychic medium, and I'm here today to answer your question of how can I change the world? I keep getting asked this a lot actually by clients and people who are following me on my social media channels. How do I change the world? Because everybody is recognizing how the world is feeling. So it's feeling a lot more negative because things are coming to the surface. So everybody is seeing the truth more, and because there's more seeing the truth of how things have been as we're all waking up spiritually, you're observing it as a more negative place, but actually it's not. I talk to my spirit guides and the angelic realms all day, every day. And I sit in meditation before I do these videos, and I ask my spirit guides to come forward so that what needs to be said is talked about in these videos. And I think the answer to how can I change the world, when I get asked that question, is by changing yourself. By being the best version of yourself that you can be, you will be changing the world. My guide has shown me many, many times that we are all part of one consciousness. And as we play our part in that consciousness and how we are as an individual in that mass that is consciousness, our actions, our energy reflects out like ripples out to everybody else who is in that consciousness. And your nearest and dearest are the ones that are the closest. So I see this as soul groups. So those who are in your immediate family, so they're in your close soul group. And then as you go sort of further out, you'll have people that come in and out of your life that are not close soul groups, but they are in your soul group, all part of that consciousness. And like I say, those ripples go out, so they will affect everybody who you come into contact with, and even people who you don't come into contact with. Because if we are all becoming the best version of ourselves, we will be raising the vibration on earth. We will be raising the vibration of consciousness more into a loving, kind way of existing. Because we've been really kept down and controlled through fear. I mean, I tell everybody, don't watch the news. You know, if you want to know what's going on in the world, choose to read it. Don't watch it, because it's dramatized with all of the music. So to become the best version of yourself, you need to make really observations of yourself. And I think if you're watching the news every night and you're absorbing all of the negativity and looking at it as that, how can I change the world? You're actually feeding into the negative. And it took me ages to realize this. I was watching the news, I was reading things, getting frustrated and thinking, gosh, you know, how can it be that we've got heading towards trillionaires in the world, and yet there are people that can't even afford to feed and clothe themselves? I mean, that's totally imbalanced. And I used to get very, very, I suppose, angry at understanding why we were letting this happen. I'm not saying that people with money are bad, because they're not. You know, people that attract money, I know there's lots of people that attract the money in, they give it out again. But it's just that balance where there's a small percentage of those who live on the earth plane who really have been taking at our expense. And I think that they've been doing that by keeping us living in fear, by keeping us stressed. day-to-day life has been made busy, so we are always on to the next thing, no time to stop and think. I remember I think it was Buddha that said, that those who are too busy to meditate need to meditate the longest, so it'd be give it 20 minutes of meditation every day, and if you haven't got 20 minutes to spare, then meditate for 40. So it's showing that actually rushing is keeping us stressed, so we're living into that fear. We're stressing our bodies, and our bodies are getting ill, and then we're having to go into the system of taking their pharmaceuticals, taking their medicines, and this is the whole thing that we've been buying into. So how do you change the world? You take responsibility for yourself through observation. My guide's been telling me this for the last 4 or 5 years. Observe, see where you are reacting to things. So I see where I react to something. Somebody will tell me about something, and then it's human nature straight away. I think, gosh, that's so terrible that they're doing that. That's not what we need to do, because when we're doing that, we are feeding into the negativity. So it's to say, okay, and it's to send love to the person that is doing that harm or that negative, because when we send love, we are changing the energy of it. We are not feeding it with negativity. I can remember my grandmother when I was little, if somebody was antagonizing me, she used to say to me, it takes more courage to walk away. I never really understood what she meant, that actually it breaks the cycle of being in that negative emotion of giving somebody negative. If somebody's given you a negative emotion, someone's been mean to you, it's human nature to either want to be mean back, or that we sort of go within and then change ourselves. So when we can observe our behavior to things, we can then allow our higher knowing to talk to the human side of us. That through meditation, through getting to really know who you are, you can talk to yourself. You can really start to break habits. You can notice when you go straight into fear, or when you're mean to somebody, or when someone's mean to you, how you sort of batten down the hatches and you don't allow yourself to come out to speak up for yourself. So it's to be observing and noticing all of these patterns of behavior, because we are all patterns of behavior. So we have learnt through our parents how to be. When we are born, I always think of it as like a recording. I'll show my age here. When you press play and record onto the old cassette tape. So it's when we're born, and I think 0 to sort of 6.5, we are just absorbing everything that's going on. And what happens when we are 0 to 6, we just record it. So it's like that's our subconscious. And so our subconscious is just recording all of that, and our subconscious really believes that that's how life is to be. And becoming a best version of yourself is to break the habits and to break the belief structure that we recorded 0 to 6. And we live in our subconscious about 95% of the time, and we are only conscious for about 5% of the time. So this is why meditation is really important. Mindfulness is really important. Bringing yourself back into the now and back into the moment, and not allowing yourself to live so habitually. And there's actually driving is a perfect example to show you how when we form a habit, we just do something automatically. When we go and we jump in the car, we unlock it, we don't sit there and say to ourselves, right, okay, foot on the clutch, into first gear, check my mirrors, get my biting point, steering it off we get. We don't do that. We just jump in and off we go. So we have learnt that driving becomes a habit, and that is our subconscious. So that's why it's when we're not paying attention, and we're not in the here and now when we're driving, and we're allowing the subconscious, you can just sort of, I'm not a driver myself, but I know lots of people when they've said to me about, gosh, I was driving along and then think, oh, how did I get here? I don't remember going past the such and such a roundabout. That's because you're in your subconscious and not in your conscious being. So, everybody that drives really should make it a standard practice to make sure that when you're getting in, you're really here and you're aware. So when you're aware and in your conscious being, you can observe better and you can make those changes. So that the next time you observe that if somebody says something mean, that what you do is you sort of go back in your shell and you think, oh, I'm not going to say that, and you stop speaking up. The more that you observe that you're doing that, your consciousness can take to your subconscious, can teach you, right, come on, speak up, have the courage to come and do that. And the more times that you do it, the more times that you are trying to break that habit, and the easier it will get. And I've been doing this work on myself for many years, and I've broken lots and lots of habits, and I hardly recognise myself as a person through to who I used to be. And I'm really proud of myself and I can't believe I'm saying that on here. I really am. I'm very proud of myself for becoming, working towards the best version that I can be. So bringing it back to self, taking responsibility for yourself. It is really thinking about taking supplements, watching what you're eating, making sure that you're hydrated, getting the right amount of sleep, and the meditation, being in the here and the now. It's to be giving yourself love. As a society, I think we've forgotten really how to really self-nurture and to give ourselves love. And we've become, we've become separated, almost been separated and sort of split apart. So it's really working on forgiveness, forgiving self. There's plenty of things in my life that I've had to sit with. I think, gosh, I wish I had known better. Once you can recognise that actually your behaviours have hurt someone else, and you're patterning from the way that you've got your patterning from your ancestors and they got it from theirs. It's once you can observe and you can recognise the patterns, that's where the power is. The power is then in recognising the patterns and breaking them. So forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. Okay, so moving forwards. If there's anything that I can help with going forwards with healing, then please do get in touch. I know that Reiki healing, I do Reiki healing, and I work with crystals and meditation and the angels, and I know that all of that has really helped me to find who I am and to find that inner peace and happiness. And we're all a work in progress, and I think we all need to help each other. It would be lovely if we could get communities building together again. When COVID hit, it really, I think it did show everybody how we could be as people. There were lots of things springing up where people were giving away things free, and that really started off some really good community programs. And so we need to build on that. We need to remember that we are all part of this same consciousness, and we need to give each other love. All right, so hopefully that can help you understand how we can change the world. Start with self. Love and light to you all.